Picture a medieval castle. Bare grey stone from the moat to the sky, right? That's the movie version. The real thing in the autumn of a war year looked stranger. Almost overnight, wooden balconies sprouted along the tops of the walls. And those balconies, not the stone, did the dirty work of the defense. This is the story of an invention so simple, so effective, and so completely forgotten that most people have never heard of it. Even though you have walked past its name on a city street, this is siegecraft, and our little engineer Watt will draw what no camera can film. Because almost none of it survives. Almost. Stay to the end for the one that does. Here's the problem stone could never solve. Stand on a 13th century curtain wall and you're about 4 stories up. Most ran somewhere between 30 and 45 feet. Now look straight down. You can't. The parapet is in the way, and the enemy knows it. Down at the foot of your own wall, in the one strip of ground you cannot see, a man is propping a ladder against the stone. Another is swinging a ram. A third, the one who should truly frighten you, is digging patiently under your foundations. To reach any of them, you have to lean out over the battlements. And the moment you lean out, your head and shoulders belong to every archer on the field. It's a death sentence. That strip of ground has a name. The dead ground. The blind spot. The most dangerous place at a castle was the one place its defenders couldn't touch. And medieval engineers didn't fix it with thicker stone. They fixed it with carpentry. Meet the hoarding. Around here we call it the war balcony, a covered wooden gallery jutting out past the face of the wall and running along its top. Because it overhangs, its floor hangs directly above the dead ground, and that floor has openings in it. Stand inside and the blind spot simply stops existing. Down through the floor go stones and boiling water. Boiling oil, rare but real. That trial gets its own episode. Out through slits in the timber go arrows, and over your head sits a roof, so the enemy's arrows hammer on planks instead of people. The English called it a hoarding, the French a hoard. Its little cousin, a single box perched over a gateway, was the bertresca or brates, the mini wall balcony. One idea in every size. Give the wall eyes and hands where it had none. Which raises a fair question. How do you hang a building off the side of a wall? Walk up to many castle walls today and look just below the top. A single, neat, horizontal row of square holes. Those are putlog holes. Sockets. Slide massive beams into them, and the beams cantilever out over thin air. Floor them, wall them, roof them. And the wall has grown a fighting gallery. Some castles rested the beams on stone corbels instead. The joints were mortise and tenon, locked with wooden pegs, some iron nails but no bolts. Nothing about this was improvised. One honesty note because the castle nerds will check. Most square holes in castle walls held construction scaffolding, nothing deadlier. It's that single row at the top, just under the parapet. That is the ghost of a war balcony. And here's the detail historians love. Scholars suspect some castles kept their hoardings as flat pack kits. Timbers cut, marked and stored through the years of peace, ready for rapid assembly the moment banners appeared on the horizon. Suspect, not proven, because the record also shows the opposite happening. Carcassonne, September 1240. An army is at the walls, and inside them the king's commander is writing everything down in a letter to Queen Blanche of Castile, the king's mother. He has a problem. Not enough timber. So when his men retake a suburb, they strip it, planks, beams, doors, and haul the wood back inside the walls. A great advantage to us, he writes. And with it, his carpenters build, his words, a good bertresca with good arrow slits. That is a real commander, in a real siege, describing our war balcony going up under fire. Now, the receipts. England, 1241. Royal records show an entire castle built at Ellesmere for about £40. The same records, the same year. £21 for just 2 brattesses. Half the price of a castle for 2 wooden balconies. Timber wasn't a cheap add-on. It was armor, and it was priced like armor. You've spotted the weakness already. The castle's shield was made of firewood, and every besieger owned fire arrows. Attackers knew it, defenders knew it, and so an arms race grew around that single flaw. Drape the gallery in fresh, wet animal hides, hung overlapping so the water ran down the timber like shingles. Hang up sacks of chaff soaked in vinegar. Coat the wood in clay, in turf, in anything that wouldn't burn. The goal was never to make the balcony fireproof. The goal was to buy time. And in siege warfare, time is everything. It worked until it didn't. Fire is the main reason this whole beautiful idea was eventually retired and reborn. The machicalation is the war balcony rebuilt in permanent stone. Same overhang, same floor holes, but fireproof and always ready. Here's the twist most videos get wrong. Machicalations were not invented next. They're older than most castles. Roman desert forts had them by the 4th century. The Islamic world was building them by the 700s. Crusaders met them at strongholds like Crac des Chevaliers and carried the idea home around 1190. And Richard the Lionheart's Chateau Gaillard became one of the first castles in Europe to wear them. Even then, stone took more than a century to catch on. Widespread only in the 1300s, and wood didn't vanish overnight. So what's left of the war balcony? 3 kinds of ghosts. The first is the survivor. In Laval, in France, stands a round keep, 34 meters tall, raised in 1218, and around its crown, still in place, the original oak hoarding. Tree ring dating puts the main timbers at roughly the early 1220s, with medieval repairs in the 1330s and 40s. It is the only undisputed original hoarding left on Earth. In England, Stokesay Castle keeps a hoarding-like timber gallery from the 1280s, though historians still argue whether it ever expected a fight. Everything else you will ever see is a rebuild. Which brings us to the second ghost, Carcassonne. The famous galleries there were rebuilt in the 1800s by the architect Eugène Viollet-le-Duc, who read the surviving putlog rows like Braille and hung new timber where the old sockets said it should go. He also declared, his words, that to restore a building is to restore it to a complete state that may never have existed at any given time, which explains both his genius and his mistake. He roofed a southern citadel in northern slate, beautiful, evidence-based, and partly wrong. And the third ghost is still being born. In a forest in Burgundy, a crew has been building a castle from scratch since 1997, Guédelon, using only 13th century methods, and the know-how they've recovered. They helped rebuild Notre Dame after the fire. Their war balconies are in the plans. They haven't raised them yet. When they do, we'll be watching. Time for Watt's inspection report. Blind spot coverage, total. Fire protection. Raw hides and vinegar, smelly, but it's what we've got. Cost, half a castle for 2 balconies. Bring your purse. Availability, some assembly required. Timber not always included. Ask Carcassonne. Watt's verdict, 8 out of 10 would defend. One final detail worth sitting with. Walk past any construction site today and look at the temporary wooden fence around it. The one plastered in advertisements. In British English, that fence is called a hoarding, and it comes from the very same old palisade word, howard, that named the castle's war balcony. No relation to hoarding treasure. That's a different old word entirely. The structures that once decided the fate of fortresses are still standing beside our streets. They're just selling phone plans now. Next time on Siegecraft, we open the letter itself. The commander of Carcassonne, 7 secret tunnels under his walls, and what he did about them. Every source is in the description. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.